Hi everyone, sorry for the delay in this video. So this is the current state of our application and we need to work on the blog related pages. So let's get started by building our create blog page. But before starting, let's take a look at what our create page includes. So let me go to the demo application and this is how our page looks like. A title at the top, a file input button, a text input for title, and a rich text editor for blog description. We will be using Syrian4CK editor, which allows us to create rich text, but more on that later. Let's start developing our page first. Before our blog pages, there is one problem that I need to fix. Inside our profile.blade.php, I need to change this to blog creator ID. So it is no longer static. And now we need to work on our blog pages. So first what I'm going to do is create a directory. Inside views, I'm going to create a new folder and name it blogs. Now inside this directory, I'm going to create three files. create.blade.php. Actually, first let me use the layout because it is going to be same on all pages. And now I'm going to just copy this one and paste it 2 more times. Let's rename this to show.blade.php and the other one to be edit.blade.php. Alright, now let's work on our create page. So we have the layout and the next thing I'm going to do is create a div with a class of py6 and container and mx auto. The next thing I'm going to do is create another div. So div with a class of width full, background white, and overflow hidden. The first thing inside here is our h3 tag, which is just going to contain the title of our page, which is create a blog post. And let's add some classes to it. So the first one is going to be font bold, text 2XL, and text should be centered. And let's add some margin top and bottom. Next, we need to add an HR and give it a class of margin Y 2. Now we need to work on our form. So let's create a form element. The action is going to be route and the route is blogs.store. I'm just going to add some padding to this form and the method is going to be post. Since we are going to use file, so I need to add the ink type of multi-part form data. And that's it for the form. Now inside, the first thing is going to be CSRF token. And the next thing is the button for our file input. And for this, I'm actually going to copy paste some classes appended to the input field. These are the classes that are appended only on the file input. So we have the label with the class blog, and inside we have a span that shows our text, which is like images or image in our case, and then the input field. Alright, let's hit the save button and go back to the browser and see our progress. Now if I go to the create screen, so we have the title and the HR tag, and then we have this our input field of type file. Okay, let's go back and now let's work on the rest of the page. So below this label, I'm going to create a div and add some classes to it. So MB4 width is going to be full and margin top of 2. So this div is for our title input. So let's create a label first and it is going to be for title. The label is going to be title with a static because it is required, and we need to add some classes to it. So the first one is going to be block, text gray 700, text is going to be small, and I want it to be bold, and also MB2. Now we need to add our input field. So input of type text, let's add some classes to it. So the first one is going to be shadow. Appearance to be none. And I want the border with border radius. I want it to take the full width. Some padding at the top and the bottom. And more padding on the left and right. Text gray, I think 700. And the leading tight. And next, on focus, I want the outline to be none. And the shadow should be outline. So many classes, right? Alright, I'm going to give it the ID of title, the name of title, and placeholder is going to be blog title. So that's it for our title input. So now we need to work on our error messages. In case there is any error related to the title, we want to show the red border. So here what I'm going to do is error, and inside the error I'm just going to say title, and if there is any error related to the title, I want to append the class of border red with 500. And right at the bottom of this input field, I'm going to add error title, and inside here I'm going to define a p tag, so a paragraph tag. Now this paragraph is just going to show the message, which is the error, and we need to add some classes to it. So the text is going to be red and 500. Text should be extra small and italic. Of course you can customize this one, but I'm just following the demo project. So actually we are making progress, and now we can see a similar title input field. So now let's work on our text area. Right below this div, I'm going to create another one for the text area, of course, and give it some classes. So MB4, and the width is going to be full. The first thing is going to be a label for body, and here it is going to be we can say description or body, whatever you want to call it, and it is going to be a required field as well. Actually we forgot to add the required here. We can do this here, or we have the validation on the backend too, so it is completely optional, but it is a good practice to have the required field on the front end as well. Alright, so description, and the label is going to have the same classes. So block, text gray 700, text small, font is going to be bold, and MB2. Now let's add the text area. So the name of the text area is going to be body, ID is going to be body as well, and let's get rid of these colds and rows. So the next thing is we need to append some classes to it. The first is going to be error. So in case there is any error related to the body, we are going to add a border of red, of color red. So border red 500, and here actually it's going to be body. Alright, that's it for the error part, and the rest of the classes are going to be same. So I'm just going to copy that one and paste it here. Actually, let's split these into multiple lines. So I'm just going to keep the class here, and rest is going to be on the next line. Let's also add the placeholder, which is going to be blog body. And right below here, I'm just going to copy this one error and paste it here, and just rename it to be body. And in case we are redirected back to this page when we submit and get the error message as a response, we need to show the previous value. So here I'm just going to add the value, and it is going to be old title. I'm just going to copy this one and also add this here between the text area open and closing bracket. So we have our form almost ready. Just next to this div, I'm just going to use our X button component for submitting this form. Let's hit save, go back to the browser, and this is what we have right now. Now the next part is actually going to be converting this text area into a rich text editor. So for this, let me go back to the code and open our layout file. And right at the bottom of our body, we are going to add stack, and we are going to name it scripts. And this is the only change we need to make here. So let's close this file, go back to our file, and right at the bottom, right above the closing X app layout, I'm just going to add some code. So push scripts, and here I'm going to define my script text. Since I will be using the CDN, so I'm just going to copy paste that. And now inside this here replace, I'm just going to rename the editor to be body. So it is the ID of the text area. Now let's hit save, go back to the browser, and we have a similar create page. So if I go back to the demo project, the current project, you can see no difference. So we have completed our create page. Now let's hit submit, and we should get back the error. Since we have the required on the front end, let me remove that. Go back to the browser, hit submit, and now we can see the error messages. So now let's quickly add a blog post. So I have chosen a file, and the title is going to be a long journey, just a random one. And I need some text. So I'm just going to the web and get some data from there. Alright, so I've just copy pasted this text from the web, and you can see it includes some rich text as well. Now let's hit submit, and now we are getting back the error. Okay, so I know what is the error. So let's go to blog controller, and inside the store method we need to just change this ID to ID. Now hit refresh, and you can see that we have created a blog post. But there is one issue. Can you spot it? I did select a file, but it is not showing up here. The reason is we haven't run the command php artisan storage link. So let's go to the terminal, and I'm just going to close the server and run the command php artisan storage link. Let's hit serve and hit refresh, and we are still unable to see the image. So there must be something going wrong in the code. So let's go to the code on the dashboard. So this is the problem. The property name is path, not the file path. So I'm just going to globally search for file path if I have made this mistake, and I'm just going to replace it with path. So it is going to be path, and we need to make the change in profile page as well. So that's it. Close the rest of the file, keep the create page open, and now if I go to the browser, you can see we have created a blog post. If I click on view full blog, right now it won't work because we haven't created this page yet. So next, let's work on our show page. Let's go back to the code, and inside this show file, I'm going to create a div. Let's add the classes py6, flex, justify center, and align center. And now inside this div, let's create another one and give it a class of width full. On medium screen, I want the width to be 3/4. mx2. Background is going to be white. Overflow is going to be hidden. The shadow is going to be small. And on small screen, I want more border radius and MB5. So inside here, the first thing we need to show is the image. So the image source is going to be, if there is a blog image, then show that image. So it is going to be blog image path. Else we are just going to show the dummy image, which is inside the blogs directory, and the name is dummy.png. And let's add the classes. So the first one is going to be width full and max height of screen, object contain, and the background is going to be gray 200. So let's split into multiple lines. And the next thing is we need to work on our title and the body. So let's create a div. So for the title, h2, and the title is going to be blog title. And let's add the classes. So font, sans, the text 5 pixel, and I want it to be bold, and let's add the padding. Next, let's add a small tag, give it some classes, p5, text gray 500, and font is going to be bold. And inside we are going to just post the timestamp when the blog was created. So post it on and blog created at. Then the HR tag, and now we need to just show our body. So let's add some classes first, width full and text left, margin top and bottom of 2, px5, and max width full. And we need to add one more class, which is prose, and inside we are just gonna use curly brace and double exclamation mark, and inside blog body and other HR tag. And the last thing we need to show is a paragraph, which will include the created by and the link to that profile. So the classes are going to be p3, text gray 300, or actually 500, and inside this p tag the text is going to be blog created by and the link, and the route is going to be profile with the ID of blog creator ID, and the name is going to be blog creator name. And we need to add some classes to this one. So the text is going to be blue 800 underline, and when we hover over the text blue is going to be 500, and that's it. So let's go back to the browser. We can see the image and the text, but there is a problem. Can you see it? The text we are showing here is just a plain text, not the rich text we created. So for that we need to do one thing. In order to get rid of this problem, we need to install something. And if I go to the Tailwind documentation on the typography, there is something we need to install. So we need to run this command. Let's open up our terminal and run this command. So once the installation is complete, we need to require it inside our Tailwind config file. So inside this tailwind.config.js, I'm going to require the typography. And we need to restart our white server. So let's get rid of this one, run again, and hit refresh. And now we can see our rich text here. Actually, there is one problem. If we go to the demo app, you can see everything is centered. But right now, things are not centered. So the width is not applying. Okay, there is a mistake. So it is going to be W dash. And it should fix the problem. And now we have worked on our show page. So 2 pages are done, only 1 is left, which is added. So now let's work on that. Let's go back to the code and open our edit file. And what I'm going to do is copy the create file and paste it in the edit one. And we are just going to make some modifications because everything is going to be same. So create is going to be edit. And the only thing that we need to add is, first of course, the method is going to be patch, and the route is going to be update with the parameter of the ID of blog. And the only thing we need to change on the front end is show the previous image. So the source is going to be the same. If there is any blog image, then we are going to show that. Image path. Otherwise, we won't show anything. And we need to add just 2 classes. So the width is going to be half and it is going to be rounded. So if there is already existing image, we are just going to show before changing that. This input is going to be the same. The title is going to be the same except for one part. If there is any old value, then show that. Otherwise, by default, we will show the current value of the title. And actually, let's copy this one and paste it for the text area, which is going to be the body. And I can see an error. So let's go to our create. And here also change the title to body. And I think that's pretty much it. So if we go back to the browser and go to profile, we can edit this one and everything is working as expected. So now if I add 2 and let's add some random text here, hit submit, and you can see that it is getting updated. So with this, we have completed our blog application. Next, I will show you how you can create APIs for blog script, which you can use for even mobile application or a front-end framework like Vue or even React. But that's it for now. I hope this series might have been helpful for you. The code will also be on GitHub and I will post the link in the description as well. Thank you for watching this one and I will see you in the next one.